In this session, I'm going to deal with a case study regarding a company, Super Selection, which is an investment advisory firm, and it's a medium size, rapidly growing money manager. That is the profile of this firm. So it deals primarily in managing the separate accounts for the clients, as well as it deals with the mutual funds. So that's the profile of the company, and it is following the CFA Institute's Code of Ethics as well as the professional standards. Code of Ethics as well as the standards of professional conduct. So they have been incorporated into the compliance manual of the company. And here, as a part of this case, we talk about two roles. One, Patricia Cuff. She is the CFO as well as the compliance officer. And major job being the reviewing of the brokerage account statements of all the portfolio managers on a regular basis. And now there is an issue that came out, especially with one of our portfolio manager, Karen Trader. She is a portfolio manager for last 5 years with the firm, and there was an issue with respect to the trades that have been placed with regarding Atlantis, the trades that have been placed regarding Atlantis medical devices, for which her friend Josie James was the president. This is a biotech kind of a company. So this person, Josie James, is a friend of Current Trader as well as the president of Atlantis Medical Devices. And at some point, Josie James has asked Current Trader to become the outside external director to this company, for which Karen has agreed that role and she has been performing that role. But of course, she has not informed Super Selection regarding that role, because the outside director, and it's a paid director role. And on the other side, Atlantis also has been a client of Current Trader. And this particular company has planned to go for an IPO. Right? This particular company has planned to go for an IPO, and as one of the directors, even she has, Current Trader has voted for the same, because the IPO market was so much lucrative for the biotech companies, and the valuations of biotech companies were going much better as far as the IPOs are concerned. So even the management has felt that this is the right time to get into the IPOs, and the directors wise, because of not so high performance of this company, the directors were paid in the form of stock options rather than cash. So even when Karen has joined them, she has received a good number of stock options, which are convertible into some 200,000 shares of AMD. And slowly the company's position started improving, and even the directors were started receiving $5,000 as a fee per every quarter. So there was a cash payment also that started coming up. And okay, the plan of IPO was fine, but slowly from the current from the market's perspective, what we are able to what was observed was slowly by the time all the proposition and everything has taken place and things are moving forward, it was known, or probably Josie James has called up a current trader and said that probably the valuation is not going that well. The IPO market slowly declined in the last couple of days. Biotech companies were not receiving that much of valuation. So what she has informed Karan is, why not you help me out, because you are also a director of this company. Why not you help me out by subscribing to the Atlantis Medical Devices AMD shares to all your clients? Why not subscribe the AMD shares in the IPO to all your clients, so that the problem of undersubscribing does not come into picture? You recommend this to all your clients and subscribe it to all your clients, so that as a director, your responsibility in terms of making sure that the shares are subscribed, and uh, you could also recommend the AMD to majority of your clients. Now, though current trader has initially done her own valuation of the stock, it came out that it is already highly overvalued. But still, to make sure that she is doing justice to her directorial role, she went ahead and purchased the stock in the IPO to all her clients. So that is where there are so many violations that have come out. And one more important point in this case was, whenever she was receiving some kind of advice on the biotech industry from Josie James, she was purchasing the stocks of those biotech companies based on the information she is getting. She was purchasing them first to her personal account, and then she was purchasing to the super selectors clients, super selection clients. So even this looks like a violation, because she was getting more benefited compared to her clients. And even as far as CFA code of ethics are concerned, the client's interest should be ahead of the personal interest. So the information that she is receiving, she has to place clients first compared to her own personal self. So looking at all these facts, it looks as if there are so many violations from the CFA code of conduct perspective. So a few of them to look out. Okay, going in terms of an order, with respect to duties to clients, I'll look at one by one. Okay, look at the duties to clients. I see two major things. One associated with loyalty, which is more associated with the 3A, and also I look at it as suitability. These two major things were seriously violated in this case, because when I talk about the loyalty, whatever the prime fiduciary duty to the client, like client's interest, should always be ahead of personal interest. And she was at every point of time first trading to her personal accounts and then trading them, buying those stocks to her client's account. So this is a very clear cut violation that we could observe here. She was always trying to place her personal interests ahead of the client's interest. So that is where she should have taken an investment action which is purely in the benefit of her clients. And even as a supervisor, the CUF, assuming CUF is a supervisor for her, though she is a CFO and all, she is in the supervisory role and in the compliance officer role also. So she should completely investigate the various activities and identify wherever the breaches have occurred, and probably she should have cut on the actions of current trader straightforward. That would have reduced these number of loyalty violations with respect to the client. And on the other side, I also see the suitability being a bigger issue, because Karen has already done some kind of investigation and said that the stock is not doing that great, and maybe more and more volatile. So, which means all her clients it may not suit to all her clients' requirement. So the client's needs and risk tolerance levels, all these things are not taken into consideration before she had allotted the portfolio to all her clients. So considering the needs and circumstances, risk taking levels and all is one of the main violation, and it has benefited her significantly rather than benefiting her clients. So that is where the compliance officer should get in, and probably this has been done for quite some time. So at least some kind of a review process in terms of assessing the suitability of investments, and if possible, probably for whosoever clients this is not a better fit, it could even result in selling off their portfolios, and based on that, even if the losses are incurred, refunding the same. But the bigger problem rather than that is a thorough analysis. Though a thorough analysis has been performed on it, without mapping the firm, without mapping the client needs with the investment properties, a quick allocation has been done to all the clients, which is a violation of the suitability requirements, suitability assessment to the client. And on the other dimension, I also see some kind of violation with respect to duties to employer, especially in the supervisory role, the responsibility as a supervisor. I see some kind of violation that can come up here. So in the supervisory role as well as in the compliance officer role, CUF has to comply with has to make sure that all her employees are complying with the standards, and because she has installed a CFA code of ethics and standards of professional conduct into her organization, so enough steps have to be taken to prevent the violation. And in the role of a compliance officer, she has to make sure that all compliance procedures are followed by all the employees, and any violation coming at any point in time, it should get very quickly addressed. So probably she should have taken this information to the senior management. Any kind of violation that is noticed in current traders activity, It has to be taken to the notice of senior management, and wherever she finds that there are violations, she is also acting in the role of a compliance manager. So she could have directly imposed restrictions wherever necessary in terms of the trading activity of current trader, but we don't see any place where she has acted in that role. And probably she, otherwise, if the senior management is also not listening to that decision, and Karen is involved with the senior management also, the information should have been communicated to the board or even to the regulators. And if at all, even after all these things are not getting materialized, probably she should have resigned the job also. All these things should have come out as a part of responsibility and the role of a supervisor. That's one more violation that I could see. And apart from that, the diligence part, one of the serious concerns in this case, the diligence and the reasonable basis. What do we see there? The current trader has actually done a research, and she has found that AMD was highly overvalued, and it will not be a suitable thing for majority of her clients. But just because she got a phone call from Josie James, and the information that she wanted a favor, asking Karen to subscribe because the IPO industry was not doing that great, the valuations are not coming out that better. So from that standpoint, Josie James has pressurized the current trader to typically purchase the stock for all her clients. So under that kind of a pressure, under that kind of no due diligence performed, or due diligence performed but was not adhered to, the investment has happened a completely unreasonable basis. There was no reasoning that could be associated to why the stocks were. So it was more of a pressure. It was more of trying to fulfill her other roles requirement in the directorial role. So because of all those things, the due diligence was not performed on a reasonable basis. So a thorough research should really come into picture regarding the investment decision, right? So any change in the opinion, buy, sell, there should be a reasonable basis associated with them. And all the clients of AMD, whatever, all the clients of AMD, she should have informed all of them that she is having some kind of directorship with them, she is having the stock options with them, she is receiving a payment from them. She did not disclose all these things to her clients, or even to her employer also she did not disclose the same. That's where it has become a big problem with respect to the due diligence as well as the reasonable basis. And on the other side, on the same dimension, I can look at it in terms of the disclosure of conflicts, right? The disclosure, she did not disclose the ownership and the stock options, and even the compensation she is receiving in the role of a director for AMD. That's one more major violation that we could see. And finally, I can even talk about the priority of the transactions. She was giving more priority to her personal trades rather than her client's trades, and she was not reporting the trades and the brokerage accounts. So the firm's policies and procedures are getting violated. So as a compliance officer, all these things need to be inquired, investigated, and proper actions taken in a timely manner. So in this case, we could see a lot of violations, right from the duties to the clients, to the duties to the employers, to disclosures, fair dealings, and even with respect to the due diligence and recommendation kind of activities. Alright. If you have any further queries regarding the same, you can get back to me by giving me a call on the number that I have given below, or you can send in an email at vamsidhar@basegurus.com. Thanks a lot for listening to this session. Thank you very much.